Hi, my name is Theo Watson. I'm a government contract attorney. Just want to talk a little bit about um, filing cases or appeals either at the Court of Federal Claims or even at the Federal Circuit level. The Court of Federal Claims handles a variety of different types of cases, including um, bid protests from contract awards. It also handles cases where the contracting officer has denied a claim or some other type of agency final decision that you either need to appeal or in the case, for example, of when you have a past performance issue or CPARS as most people would know it. Once you've gone through the initial process at the contracting officer level, i.e. filing a claim, then you can also appeal that decision to the Court of Federal Claims. Once the Court of Federal Claims issues a decision on your case, obviously the next level above that would be to consider filing an appeal at the Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. Um, Going back to the Court of Federal Claims, um, looking at issues such as bid protests, obviously a lot of people would go to the GAO level and sometimes will get an adverse decision at the GAO level. Now, when that happens, you can go to the Court of Federal Claims with what would be considered a new bid protest. Now, with that said, obviously the court will still consider the GAO record. Just as a special note, when the GAO issues a decision on a protest, going to the Court of Federal Claims is not really considered a direct appeal. However, once you file a new protest at the Federal Claims Court and a decision is issued, then that decision is also binding on the GAO case at the lower level. Um, Filing a protest at the Court of Federal Claims is a little bit different. Um, you have a little bit more strict procedural rules. Um, you don't have what at the GAO level will be considered an automatic stay. At the Court of Federal Claims, you will have to file a temporary restraining order, commonly referred to as a TRO, and then argue to the court why the procurement action should be stayed. Um, Obviously, going to the Court of Federal Claims is a little bit more expensive for contractors than it would be at the GAO level. So that's a consideration that most people need to make. The other thing is going to the Court of Federal Claims when the contracting officer has issued a final decision. There's a lot of litigation going on as to whether the contracting officer has issued a final decision or not. These are things that you want to make sure of before expending substantial amount of attorney's fees, and only to find out that the court doesn't have jurisdiction to hear the case simply because there was no contracting officer's final decision. So these are some of the things you want to take a look at. The other issues, obviously, at the Court of Federal Claims, sometimes the government issues a termination for default, and sometimes the contractors would obviously want to challenge that for obvious reasons. However, there are some things you need to look at before you immediately file an appeal. One of the things in any appeal or even filing a case before any court is to really make sure that the merits of your case is actually being considered. Um, Not only do you spend a lot of money only to get your case dismissed, but in government procurement, you also want to make sure that what you believe is a terrible government decision also is backed up by some type of legal authority or case law. That's some of the things that we do to help our clients. At the federal circuit level, once the Court of Federal Claims makes a decision, you also have the ability to file an appeal at the federal circuit level. The federal circuit level obviously is not a forum to relitigate your case. The burden of proof is obviously a little bit different. Essentially, what you have to show is that the lower court, which will be the circuit or the Court of Federal Claims, sorry, has committed some type of error, probably evidentiary or otherwise. So you're actually focusing on the court's error and not the agency. This is a little bit more difficult of litigation and obviously more expensive. That's just to set the general principles of dealing with the Court of Federal Claims and obviously appealing any such decision to the federal circuit. If you're a government contracting person, or more specifically a small business or large DoD contractor, and you are considering either filing a protest or appealing either contract and also final decision, whether it be a claim or termination, feel free to give us a call. Telephone number is 1-866-601-5518.